my long-term partner, passed away after a mental health battle, and 2 months later, I slept with his closest friend while we were grieving together. Now his friend group knows I'm being judged as a monster, and I'm questioning everything about myself. Earlier this year, my boyfriend ended his own life. Before he was found, he was missing for several days. My mind has been stuck in this endless loop of what-ifs ever since. It's exhausting. It's like my brain won't let me accept that some things were outside of my control. We had been together for about 4 years. He was only 26 years old. About 2 months after he passed, I ran into one of his best friends, someone who was part of his extremely close friend group. Before everything happened, I always liked him. Not in a romantic way. He's just a great guy. He was always there for my BF during all of his mental health struggles. Even though he struggled to understand it all himself, he knew sides of my boyfriend I didn't. He understood the parts of him he shared only with his closest friends. Seeing him again after everything, it hit me hard. It felt grounding, familiar, safe, like being around someone who still held pieces of the person I lost. We ended up going to a bar to talk. We drank way too much, opened up about things we'd never said out loud, cried, and eventually, we slept together. I know it came from grief and vulnerability, but the guilt is eating me alive. And what scares me more is that I feel this intense pull toward him now, not just physically, but emotionally. It's like I'm desperate to be close to someone who was as close to my boyfriend as I was, maybe even closer. I know that might be unhealthy. He and my boyfriend had 2 other best friends in their tight-knit group. I keep thinking, what if he told them? They were always protective of my boyfriend. They loved him like a brother, and the idea of them finding out what happened makes me sick. I feel like they'd hate me, like they'd see me as disrespecting his memory or betraying him. I don't even know if they'd understand how complicated and grief-driven that night was. What if they think something was going on before he died? Even though nothing ever happened before, the thought terrifies me. The friend I slept with hasn't mentioned anything since texting me once the next morning. He said he hoped I got home safe and that he was sorry for everything. But we haven't talked about what happened, and now I feel like I made everything awkward to the point of no return. Top comments. Commenter Yoon. My best friend lost a boyfriend fairly young. He passed after an accident. She slept with his best friend because the grief brought them closer. Lots of guilt and doubt. They ended up dating for a while and split after about a year. I'll tell you what I told her at the time. You're not a bad person for seeking comfort and connection, especially when that person is one of few who can understand what you're feeling. Please be patient with yourself. G. OP. Most people seem scared to mention my BF to me now. They're afraid of upsetting me. He's one of the only people who didn't seem afraid to say his name or tell a funny story about him without worrying that I was going to break into hysterics. It felt as close to normal as I've felt in a while. We joked about him, in a loving way. We ordered his favorite drink. We laughed for one of the first time in months. And cried too. Commenter Du. No shade, but everyone gassing this up and saying she did nothing wrong is just lying and trying not to hurt her feelings. As someone who's lost a parent, I get it. Grief does make you do bad things. But just back your grieving. Doesn't mean you're exempt from doing fucked things. Commenter Trois. What's up with the replies? Lol, sharing grief doesn't automatically mean crossing into intimacy. That's not comfort. That's lack of boundaries. You can support each other without turning it into something physical. Grief equals sex? If I share grief with my partner's friend, does that mean we sleep together because we both understand the pain? Grief isn't a hall pass for blurred lines. OP. It wouldn't have happened if he was alive. Relevant comment from OP. While my boyfriend died 2 months before this happened, it had been a very stressful year or so, with all of his mental health problems prior to when he died. He had really changed. I still loved him. I was and still am deeply in love with him and feel that I'll never love anyone as much as him. But I feel like we started to lose him before he actually died. So yes, 2 months is a short time, but I think what we did was a response to the entire past year of dealing with everything, and his best friend was very involved in everything going on. He visited him every day when he went to a mental health facility and rehab. Update 1. I recently posted about my boyfriend's death and how guilty I felt after his best friend and I had sex a few months after he died. It wasn't something we planned, and it came about after an unexpected night of reminiscing and alcohol. My boyfriend ended his own life somehow that just made me feel even worse about what I did. Reading the comments on my last post pushed me to think more clearly than I have in months. People shared similar experiences, and I also received a lot of direct messages from people sharing similar stories. It made me realize that what happened wasn't all that unique or weird. I also came to feel that it wasn't some unforgivable, monstrous act. I still feel guilty about what happened, but surprisingly, not quite as guilty as I did before I posted. It was actually the harsh, judgmental comments that really helped me change my perspective of the whole thing. Despite how bad I felt about it, I wasn't expecting for so many people to act like I committed a mortal sin, but none of those people could explain why what we did was so bad or evil. It made me defensive, which in this case ended up being a good thing. I kept saying, but why was it so bad? Why do I feel this way? No actual harm was done. No one was betrayed or hurt. Nothing happened while my boyfriend was alive. The guilt I felt was real, but the logic behind it wasn't. That gave me the courage to reach out to his best friend. I realized sitting in this awkward silence was stupid, and I don't want to lose contact with him or my boyfriend's other closest friends over this. I texted him and just said hi. He responded almost immediately. I should have done it a while ago. It's really all I needed to say to get the conversation going. Eventually, I told him that I had been thinking a lot about what happened between us, and I was sorry I left so quickly afterwards and had remained silent. I just felt guilty and sad and didn't know what to do. He admitted he hadn't reached out to me because he blamed himself for what happened, and he figured I was staying quiet because I blamed him and didn't want to hear from him. We both sort of admitted we were still struggling with what happened to my boyfriend and were feeling depressed, especially with the holidays now. We agreed to meet up the next day, but stay completely sober this time. He said the night we spent together wasn't meaningless, but it also wasn't something he fully understands yet. He said being with me felt comforting, and familiar, but the next morning he panicked. He said he cares about me, maybe more than he expected, and that's exactly what scared him. He said he felt guilty for how close he felt to me, and despite understanding that my boyfriend is dead, he can't get over the feeling that he's committed some sort of ultimate betrayal. He said he didn't want to lead me on, but he also didn't want to pretend nothing is there. He said he feels this pull toward me too, but also feels guilty for it. Being around each other makes us feel closer to my boyfriend, his best friend. He said he doesn't want to hurt me, or himself, or the memory of someone we both loved. I asked him if he told their other two close friends. Why am I sitting at home for a month fretting about whether they know or not? I could tell he really didn't want to answer, but he confessed that he told both of them about it. He apologized and said he was overwhelmed with guilt, confusion, panic, and that maybe he told them in part to punish himself. He said the other two friends weren't angry at me, but they're upset with him. They don't understand how it could have happened. I feel exposed and embarrassed. I don't care what he says. I'm sure they're judging me for it, which might explain why I've not heard from either of them since. I don't know if his friends will ever see me the same. Top comments. Commenter: if it's any consolation, my girlfriend slept with my best friend while I was still alive. Commenter: you did nothing wrong per se, but if I were one of his best friends, I could see where I would be mad as hell at you and the friend. No real reason other than a protective and moral judgment. Meaning, what the fuck? We just buried him and she's already fucking his buddy. Fuck her and fuck that buddy, they are dead to us now. We all deal with grief in different ways. OP: I've had the same sort of thoughts about myself, so I can understand why his friends would be upset. But thanks for admitting that there's no real reason to feel that way. It's just based on feelings, personal morals, the general unwritten rule that you never sleep with a friend's partner or ex, things like that. I've just really struggled with the whole, why do I feel so bad about this, when I rationally understand there's no real reason. And all of the judgmental comments here never actually give a real reason as to why it's wrong, but they can admit that they can't come up with a valid reason. Commenter 3: this is one of the dumbest things I've ever read. You mentioned in the last post that he was someone you'd have gone for if you weren't dating his friend, and you find him attractive. Now that the only reason you didn't fuck is gone, you both jumped at the chance. The sooner you admit the truth to yourself, the sooner you can help break up the friend group that helped keep his memory alive by trying to justify both of your behavior to them, because the other two friends might tell you they can forgive, but I guarantee you they won't forget nor trust either of you ever again. OP: is it all that surprising that I'd like nearly lifelong best friend of my boyfriend? Could they have a lot of similarities? Perhaps things that my boyfriend and I enjoyed, thought, found funny, etc. are similar to that of his best friend? My boyfriend and I met each other and connected over some particular shared interests, which his best friend has as well. In no way was I saying that I wish I'd met his friend first because I realized the friend is who I'd really rather be with. I was trying to explain, if you look at the comment I was responding to in that scenario, that I like his friend independent of this horrible shared experience of grief. It's not as if this is someone I disliked and thought was an asshole, and now suddenly my mind is so clouded with grief that I suddenly think he's this great guy I really like. You can think somebody is attractive without it meaning you have a desire to be with them. He's a good person and was a great friend. There's not much to dislike about him. Why do I have to lie and pretend like I couldn't ever see why a woman would be interested in him or lucky to be with him? I could think those things without it meaning I was interested in him or wanted to be with him instead of my boyfriend. Commenter Quattro. Please just admit that you and that piece of trash had already slept together and your boyfriend found out, and that's why he took his own life. OP. I hope you're in a position one day to realize just how hurtful your comment is. No, we hadn't slept together before my boyfriend killed himself. We'd cleaned him up, literally bandaged his wounds, and put him to bed together on several occasions though. We visited him together when he was in the psyche ward and in rehab. Real sexy. Probably when I fell for him and started having all those dirty fantasies of mine, just waiting for the day my boyfriend would finally pull the plug so I could pursue the guy I really wanted to be with. My boyfriend had severe clinical depression, borderline personality disorder, and an alcohol dependence disorder, one of his ways of coping. He also physically harmed himself. He had real mental health problems that neither I nor anyone else caused. His best friend visited him nearly every day whenever he was committed somewhere. He helped pay for all the medical bills since insurance only covered so much. So I always held his best friend in high esteem, but I never had romantic feelings for him. I didn't feel a sexual attraction to him. I was too busy being in love with my boyfriend, and he was truly the only guy in my eyes at all. He was everything to me. He's my most special person. I'm still in love with him. I never want to not be in love with him. At times, dealing with his problems could be exhausting. You're not really given a handbook. There were times when I wished I could just be with somebody normal, but I really just wanted him to be healthy again. I wasn't fantasizing about being with his friend or anyone else for that matter. Update 2. I thought it was really weird when I woke up this morning and had a load of notifications, over 100. Apparently my posts go reposted elsewhere, and some deranged people felt the need to comment on my posts up to 20+ times each in some cases, and repeatedly send me messages seemingly goading me to respond to their nastiness. This is my final update. I'm sharing it in hopes that the people who are so enraged about my sex life might get so mad that they spontaneously combust. Many of you are so cruel, far more cruel than anything I did after my boyfriend's death. I don't understand how you can think I'm evil incarnate for having sex with his friend after his death, but then say such mean things to me, such as accusing me of being the reason he killed himself, or that he's better off dead. I slept with his best friend again. It happened the day after Christmas, which was an incredibly difficult holiday for me this year. Since I last posted, my boyfriend's birthday passed too. I love Christmas, but absolutely everything triggered me this year. I couldn't listen to any Christmas music or watch any Christmas movies. It was hard to participate in any of the regular Christmas traditions too, because it just reminded me of his absence. He was also the best gift giver. It wasn't the gifts I missed, but I'm sure somebody will spin my comment in that way too. We just really liked finding very special, thoughtful, personal gifts for each other that nobody else would ever know or think to get us. Not having him to buy gifts for this year left a hole for me that I didn't anticipate hurting so much. There were many times when a great idea would come to me, and I had to remind myself that he was dead. Those types of moments are the worst, like when you feel the urge to just casually text somebody something and you realize they're gone. I spent Christmas Eve just driving around, sobbing. I didn't want to be anywhere. I didn't want to be at home, alone and depressed. I didn't want to be around people doing Christmas things. I spent a lot of money this holiday season. I think I've developed a shopping addiction as a coping mechanism. No way would I go to the store on Christmas Eve. So I just drove around aimlessly. Yet I gritted my teeth and made it through my family Christmas. I normally love spending Christmas with my family, and he would normally be there with me. I had to escape to other rooms to cry several times, since I can tell everyone is uncomfortable and doesn't know what or do when I cry. I'm off work for 2 weeks, which I'm happy about. It's become almost impossible to do my job, but it's also a lot of alone time. I've spent much of it sleeping so I don't have to think or feel, but then that makes me hate myself. My boyfriend's best friend texted me on Christmas. We texted back and forth for a bit. He mentioned that he had exchanged presents with the other 2 friends in their little best friend group. So, looks like I haven't completely destroyed and divided their nearly lifelong friendships, as several people here were sure I'd done. Those friends even texted me on Christmas too. I don't know why, but the day after Christmas was even worse than the days leading up to Christmas and the holiday itself. I just had the most uncomfortable feeling all day, and nothing I did would make the feeling go away. That's when my boyfriend's best friend called. We had talked a little since everything happened between us, but nothing too deep. We hadn't seen each other person again since my previous update. Without really thinking too much about it, I asked him to come over. We watched a movie that was actually really depressing. We didn't really do much talking. There was no reminiscing about my boyfriend. We slept together, and it wasn't sad. I enjoyed it, but it just sort of was. It just filled some time. It was a distraction, but it felt good to not be alone. It took away the uneasy feeling I'd had all day. I don't feel bad about, and I won't feel bad about it. I hope it happens again. I miss my boyfriend very much, but it's almost like I don't know what to do without all of his drama in my life. I don't know how to be when things are calm. I don't know how to function without having that constant worry about him in the back of my mind all the time. I don't know what it's like to be with somebody who I don't feel I need to take care of. My boyfriend and I didn't have much of a sex life in the year prior to his death, and I wasn't really focused on or dwelling on that since much bigger things were happening. We were still very intimate with each other in other ways. I've never been closer to anyone, but after having sex again for the first time in a long time, much longer than just the time my boyfriend's been dead, and I remembered that I actually enjoy sex.